Yeah, hi there, this is tuxauto.com again. Welcome on my video channel. Today we want to talk a little bit about the image of kit lenses, which have improved over the past years. When I think about my first digital camera, that was a Canon 400D with the 18-55 kit lens, that was, pretty bad at this time and surely just made of plastic. But today we have another situation, and I want to show you that on the example of Lumix camera. Let's start first with the 20 to 60 millimeter 3.5 f5.6. That's the first kit lens for full frame cameras which I bought with the Lumix S5 a couple of years ago. At this time, focal length range of from 20 to 60 millimeters was, let's say it pretty unusual, but this made this little zoom very flexible in the zoom range. It starts at 20 millimeter. Some people say that's already extreme wide angle, and goes up to a little more than 50 millimeter, which is okay for the most photographic situation. So this makes it almost perfect as an all-round lens if you have let's say enough light, because you only have 3.5 at the shortest length of the lens. And this lens turned out to be pretty good in sharpness, at least in the center at wide open aperture, and even the edges were quite good, but we see that in comparison later on. Overall, we can say that there is a let's say a balanced image quality on this lens over the total focal range, and that makes it really a universal lens. The weight is only 350 grams, so it's ideal fitting for a body like the S5 I got, or I use it mostly now with the S1 Mark II. The lens also offers a sort of, let's say close-up mode where you can reach a magnification ratio of 0.4, which isn't bad at all for a lens like this. Okay, the next one I want to show you is the Lumix S9, and of course the 18-40, which I have here. Okay, you must turn out the lens so you can use it on the S9. But this lens is very small and very lightweight, with the weight of only 155 grams. With the focal length from 18 to 40 millimeter, the lens is even more focused on the wide angle side than the 20 to 60 millimeter I showed you just right away. This makes the lens ideal for landscape and architecture, and extremely compact and lightweight, so it's a perfect setup for travel photography, and if you're just traveling with one lens or with one camera. Many photos in the city travel I did last year in Tuscany were made with this lens, and I had even no trouble making most of my photographs, let's say around 80%, just with this lens only. The only thing I did, I had the Sigma 16 to 28 2.8 lens for in churches and so on, low light situations, because I don't like it to pull out a tripod or something like that in a church or in a museum or any building like that. The sharpness of the lens is, I would say, pretty good, but of course not outstanding. It's a wide range from extreme wide angle to the medium focal length, and especially in the corners with open aperture, the edges might be a little bit soft, but you can improve that if you just step down the aperture 1 or 2 stops, so that is no problem at all. And most of all, in the practical image results, you won't notice even the little softness, only in extreme situations. The third one I want to show you is the 24-105 lens, which I bought in let's say at a pretty good price at the 40th anniversary of Panasonic here in Germany, together with the Lumix S1R Mark II. The zoom range is pretty large, from 24mm wide angle to the 105mm, let's say short telephoto. So it covers a wide range of focal lengths. It's ideal so far for even portraits, reporting, photographs, and any events. And most advantage of this lens that it has a constant aperture of f4.0 over the complete focal range. And what I must mention is that unlike the other two kit lenses, the 24-105 has an integrated image stabilization, which of course can be combined with the IBIS in the cameras like the Lumix S5 or any other body of the Lumix lineup, which has the IBIS stabilization and will lead you to even longer exposure time, which can be handheld because of the stabilization, or better to say, because of the combination of those two stabilization modes. The sharpness in the center is pretty good. The corners are a little bit softer, especially in the telephoto setting, meaning 105, and that can be improved by stepping down the aperture 1 or 2 stops. Then you won't notice it. Most of all, in practical images, you even won't notice that the lens is a little bit softer if you're shooting details and photographs like that. And last but not least, the lens offers a sort of macro function, which allows you to photograph smaller details and so on at a magnification rate of 1:2. But of course, this universal setup of this lens makes it significantly larger and, of course, as you could see here, much heavier with around 680 grams. This lens almost has double the weight of the 20-60 I showed you before. Okay, but now we will take a look on the PC on some of the test images I made, so you can have a look on the result at the different focal lengths and different aperture settings. Okay, I started here Lightroom Classic and I imported the comparison images into Lightroom because it's a little bit easier to show. At first we got the 24-105 at 24mm. Get that out of the way, and here the line above is the corner situation, and here with the window and the frame, that's a center situation for this lens. Okay, we do it at 200%, and here we got 24mm at 200% at wide open aperture at f4.0. That isn't bad at all, okay, but it could be sharper, of course. But when we go here to that one here, that is f.6, it gets a little bit better, like here at f8, but it isn't getting really tech sharp, but it's more than usable. Let's go down to the center. That's already pretty good at wide open aperture. If we take a closer look on those bricks here, move over, there are a lot more details. Even if I only step down one aperture stop, let's compare it again. Yeah, I think that's a good result for this lens. Okay, let's take a look at the long end. Here first we got the situation in the corner again at f4.0, and you see here that that is not as good and determines the image of the lens that it might be a little bit soft on the long end. As you can see here, that is f5.6 and that is f4. And I think the image quality gains pretty much by stepping down. And here we got the saturation at f8. Okay, let's take a look at the center. That's almost the same situation like here. And if we move over here, that's quite a bit better if we step down to from 4.0 to f5.6. If you here view or judge the sharpness here on those bricks here in the center of the image. Okay, maybe we take now the 20 to 60. The first is a 20 millimeter. And of course, that isn't as good as all, but it's a wide open aperture, 3.5 on a 20 millimeter zoom lens. For that, the result isn't too bad at all. And if we step down at 1 f-stop, I think it's get a little bit better and even more usable. If you take here the center again, that is, yeah, a little bit soft. And the sharpness increases if I step down to f5.6 or even at f8. As you can see here, I go down to f11. I skipped the f16 setting. I would only include it in this comparison if there would be reasonable differences to the images taken at f11, like let's say for a diffraction blur or something like that. So I decided to skip them. Okay, here we got the same lens at the long end, that is 60 millimeter at f5.6 in this case. The edges are a little bit soft, but I move down here. They get a little bit better in the corner. If we'll take this brick here like this, that's a good increase, but it isn't tack sharp. Okay, but the lens, I know it from practical use, is more than usable over the full zoom range. Same situation here at the center. That is a little bit soft on the longest edge and gets better if you step down the aperture a little bit. Like that, gets to maximum at f8. Okay, got that, and least but not least, we take a look on the 18 to 40. That's the 18 to 40 at 18 millimeters. That's of course a little bit soft, and you are even on a more wider side than the 20 to 60 millimeter. f4.5 is acceptable, okay. And if you step down to 5.6, it isn't really good, but it improves the image quality quite a bit. And here we got this situation here in the center. And funny-wise, this is in the center even better. If we move here, take a look at that brick here. That is a good improvement, and even a little bit more if you step down to f8. The last one, take it on the long end. If we can talk about a long end at 45 millimeter, here you got your situation in the corner, that is 45 millimeter at f6.3. That's pretty good, and at f8 it's yeah, increases and it's more than usable. As you could see, the image of the kit lenses is, in my opinion, no longer true. You can use them in regular photography. Of course, such a kit lens is almost compromised in quality or weight or so on. But if you want to have a lightweight or at least a small setup, that's the ideal lens for you. You can use all the kit lenses on all the cameras, and as you could see, the testing I did were made even with the 18 to 40 millimeter lens on the Lumix S1 R Mark II. But of course, the 24 to 105 kit lens is sort of bound to the Lumix S1 series, I think, or let's say the Lumix S5. And on the other hand, I would place the 18 to 40 millimeter always on the Lumix S9, because that gives you a pretty compact setup. It's just very small, and you get a quality. You at least have the full frame sensor and so on. You get a quality that is hardly to beat with other setups. Okay, if you have any questions to this, you might as well place them in the comment section here of the video, or in the comment section of the corresponding blog post. And if you find this video helpful, you might think about placing a like on the video, and I surely would appreciate if you subscribe my channel, but then don't forget to hit the bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Okay, that was my little video on the kit lenses, and all I have to say is till the next time, ciao, tux Oche.